everyone again with us at Ungender for yet another conversation with the leaders. And today we have Vandana Tolani with us to talk about, of course, a topic very close to our heart. We have been a startup, we are still a startup, and I think the way we like to look at the world through gender lens will be incomplete if we don't really focus that lens on the startup and funding and the whole VC ecosystem that exists around us. And for that very main reason, we reached out to Vandana, and Vandana, thank you so much for taking out time and having this conversation with us. I just want to tell everyone, Vandana Tolani comes with over 15 years of experience guiding companies, startups, and leading them and advising them on their fundraising, shaping their business ideas, and actually creating that roadmap for them towards success. And currently, she's leading her own firm, Convanto, which
That's
works with early stage startups on fundraising initiatives.
that's right. That's right.
Thank you so much, Vandana. Welcome once again.
Thank you, Pallavi, for giving me this opportunity, and I'm very grateful to you. I hope our this conversation, uh, motivates somebody or helps somebody or helps people understand what's happening around us. So I should be thankful to you.
So then I think gratitude goes both ways here.
uh, yeah,
Thank you so much for being kind about it. This topic is very close to our heart for various reasons.
right.
One, primarily because we just enjoy looking at the world through the gender lens. And wherever that we look, this imbalance of gender participation, and for the sake of our audience, not just right now but even the
Hmm.
ones who will watch this in future, I just want to give a disclaimer that right now when we are talking about gender, sadly we are keeping it only limited to the binary. And because conversation on the third gender requires a very dedicated lens and a very nuanced level of discussion. We don't want to create any conflict or confusion that when we say gender, we are automatically assuming them as part of this. Yes, a lot of work needs to be done about the other gender and the third gender also. And that also is a persistent effort at our end. But coming back to today's discussion, we are talking about women presence and or absence for that matter in the startup ecosystem. Vandana, please just let's start with understanding your journey in this whole ecosystem. How did it start? When did it start? What have been your observations as you walk this path in the last 15 plus years? Has something changed? Have things remained same? I leave the floor to you.
So as you have mentioned, I have worked previously in Jakarta and Singapore, and this is my sixth year back in India into investment banking. Um, my 6 years of journey in this field has not been an easy ride, of course, but things really need to change still a lot in terms of giving women a lot of opportunities, giving them the platform, uh, giving them the right kind of backing.
Mhm.
It's just that what I find is that we are conditioned in such a manner that after marriage everything goes handicapped, or after having kids everything stops, or even to get them the right kind of education, uh, it just doesn't happen. So I think it's a whole conditioning that has been done for several and several decades, which needs to change still. Of course, we are moving towards it, but we are just moving towards it not open mindedly. There are many educated people who still have the same mindset, uh, below somewhere in their heart, having such good experience in corporates, having such strong backgrounds, they still have the same mindset. So that's the thing that I feel needs to change.
No.
And not only that, I mean, equal opportunities can be created. Equal skills can be identified for both the genders, but uh, for women, naturally, the platforms are not there. And I'm sure if they are given the right platforms, they can really outshine and perform and, create a lot of difference in the economy, in the system, in the country. So that's my take here.
No, two very key points that you raised. I mean, I can relate with the first one right away. Born in India, brought up in Philippines, and I came back to India some 10, 12 years ago. And
Yes, yes,
very relatable when you say that this mindset on equity and equality is not dependent on the level of education or the strata in which people belong in
yes,
our society.
yeah,
It's a miscorrect or incorrect actually
yeah.
assumption that people who are educated are already forward looking. That not necessarily is the reality.
No, no, not at all. Not at all. I have seen the most educated people and the most positioned people having uh, a very, very a mindset which is actually not even their fault. It's conditioned by the society. It's conditioned by the community. It's like they've been brought up with those thoughts. So it
Is the
takes time.
natural. This is the
Yeah.
natural for everybody. If we have to look at it as a society, that this divide that we talk about is
Yes.
almost the natural course of society. And bringing it to the second point that you mentioned, right? That when given a platform, right, a dedicated platform, where we're given this equal opportunity. Uh,
Yes. Yes.
Women have done as amazingly as men have been doing, and there are enough case studies out there to prove that, and people
Yes.
are better than men.
Yes, because they are more sincere also, and they are, uh, they really want to strive hard, and because of all these qualities, their emotions, their persona, their way they put up things, they can really do well. The only setback that I see is they are not given that opportunity. Like, I have lost potential business
Mhm.
also, and many startups, women entrepreneurs, they don't get the kind of investments they deserve, uh, because there is a comparison there, which is, I'm not saying that they are bad or we are good. I'm saying it is being conditioned like that.
Hmm.
So they are also, since longest time, taught these things, that, oh, it has to be like this. And we might show to the world that we have changed, but we have not changed. People look differently to married women. People look differently to single women. People look differently to women, as they start, there is also a lot of labeling that goes along with it, or where they, she's not tech savvy, or she is, but you never know what potential she has unless she's not given the platform. So I'm sure that men would be losing out opportunities as well, because their skills are not being recognized, but they have that platform, they have that support, they have that backing, wherein they have been given these, I would like these, opportunities, or you can say, they are more fortunate that way, in terms of, yeah.
I think in terms of affiliation and that lineage of affiliation or
Yes.
affiliation of lineage, however we want to put it, networking is stronger.
Yeah.
it's like graduating from one single college, and
Yeah,
people who have graduated from that college, the wider the network is, and
yeah,
more people to fall back upon or reach out to for help. Whereas if
right.
we see for the same woman as a segment, there are lesser women who have graduated, from the same school and gone to that level, smaller
Hmm.
network, lesser women professionals to reach out to for mentoring.
When I came to India, I had zero network.
Yeah,
School,
same here. I know what you're
zero
saying.
network. So it was like I had to. So I didn't have those, families to backing or the network or the friends. I just started. So uh, also many a times, what happens is that uh, if men are going ahead somewhere, we never say, "Oh, you know." You must have done something to reach that level. The moment the women start moving a bit ahead, they start doubting uh, her purity in terms of character, in terms of so many other things, that it is just that, oh, she must have done something to get to this level. So that also need to be changed, or somebody must have helped her, or this thing. But there are many times that it is her own skills, her own way of doing things that gets her those opportunities, and it's her own talents, it's her own, the way she speaks, the way she performs. It's just that brings her opportunities. So that is also needs to change a lot. uh,
I'm,
you might understand what I'm
I
saying.
know exactly what you're saying, and I'm almost like in two minds to set aside all the questions that I was prepared to ask you. Just loving this nuanced, honest conversation that you have touched on. The
Yes.
subtleties which no one talks about, the subtleties that very few people are able to observe, identify. Uh,
Yeah.
at a receiving end, yes, we know that.
Yeah.
Aspect that you're talking about, a woman's social status, and when I say social status, in terms of even married, unmarried, having kids, not having kids, not being married but having kids, being married but not wanting to have kids, divorced, separated, single, older age. This permutation combination of the different categories of this status, this personal status in society, is given so much importance when we
Importance. Yeah.
workplaces, right? And it's very surprising that how does it even create any difference in my capabilities, in my knowledge. And you so beautifully put it out that these are there.
And ultimately, if we look at it, we are humans, but we have differentiated so much between the two genders that it has, and then when as women, when we start speaking about it, and when we want to make a point, we are told, you're, oh, you're a feminist, oh, you're this, oh, you're that. So all we are trying to say is that we are humans, just like the male community is a human, and we need to be treated equally. The whole idea is to be treated equally and not to put any community down or any community above thing, and just work as humans working in the society or in the corporates or in any field which uh, everybody needs to be respected. That's what it is.
Yeah, let me just bring connect this thought with our startup system.
Right.
One, whenever we are having these conversations, and these are varied, coming from different
Hmm.
leaders and different stakeholders in the ecosystem, everyone has their own version of what they have witnessed. So we can
Hmm.
never tell people that they're not telling the truth. Everyone is telling their
Oh,
own truth and
right.
experiences. So, keeping their truth and experiences aside, this gender related perceptions that we are talking about in the startup system, or whenever, and I'm sure you must have worked with a lot of women founders, um,
Yes,
helping them shaping their business ideas and raising the early level funds and
yes.
um, how much importance is actually given? Any anecdotes? Any of course without maintaining every possible confidentiality. Any special moments which strike you or which struck you that this is still 2020 and we are still bothered about these things?
It is because there are many moments. I don't want to give any specific stories here, but there are many moments when women are told that they are not business savvy. Women are told that uh, you know they don't know how to run a business, or women are told, or even as a many women founders, they look at themselves uh, very not confidently, I would say, and they say that, oh, I need to. So they are always prioritizing uh, their married life instead of their work, and they are always prioritizing something else. So they are always giving up that something which they feel happy about to prioritize something else.
Hmm.
Because so it is also they lose out opportunities because they make themselves feel like that. So they have to also like I said, it's a conditioning which we cannot change, even if we try to explain to some women founders. We'll have to make sure that how are they conditioned, because everybody is conditioned in a different manner. I have met some 23, 24-year old girls who are working in donut stores, and I like to converse with them. And they were like, for them, they are having a job, they are doing skillfully their manager levels, they are delivering the donuts well, they are performing well, but their family has diverted them towards marriage, which they don't want, and they are stuck, and they don't know that whether they want to do that or they want to do this. And they keep taking advice from people like us, and they just feel it's like you get some security when you go there.
Right.
So even that is a mindset that needs to change, that you can start on your own a business, you can start on your own. It's never too late. But that factor of the life has been given as in a security form, that
Hmm.
I don't know what security that brings in. I would say that or it's the reverse of it, it makes one more insecure, but it is just conditioning. So it is we have to also encourage them. There are many investors who are not making the decision. They are on the investors board, they are on that board where they can make decisions, but they are not making decisions.
Hmm.
You are being a leader somewhere, you are at that stage, but decision is still not in your control. So these are the factors I would feel that they need to change.
Think
They
very.
cannot depend on decisions also, like decision has to be taken by the women leader, and 7% of the women who are on the board as leaders, they still don't make decisions, and they're only 7%.
That also because of the legal mandate. Otherwise, I don't know where we were.
So that's I mean, I'm not saying that I'm a perfect person and what I'm saying is totally correct. These are my views, this is what I've observed, and this is what I feel that uh, needs to be explained to many people. And to be that it's okay for a woman to become a leader. She must be having some skills there. It's okay for her to get investments, it's okay for her to fail also, it's okay for her to, so she's also a human.
Hmm.
That's what I'm trying to say here. And if anybody has any questions with this also, I'm open for it.
Right. I'm the only one who asks questions.
Yeah.
Well, connecting what you just said a while ago, it's very crucial. A couple of days back, we were in another conversation, and this same point, was highlighted that when we talk about fixing the gender imbalance and fixing the gap in the ratio of participation, it's not something which is one gender's responsibility alone.
No,
Right?
no.
It has to be a course correction
Yeah,
on all fronts, and the onus of bringing about this change cannot be left completely on the existing gender, which is there in majority, men.
right.
And that's a wrong expectation, that's a wrong obligation also. Yes, it's a responsibility, and that's exactly why it should be shared by both the
Yeah.
parties. Very, very, very valid point. But how does it get impacted, Vandana, when we talk about, let's say, the gender perceptions that we all are carrying, right? For whatever reason, our upbringing, our conditioning, our experiences, what we have become privy to, what we ourselves have gone through, what else makes human other than our lived experiences and witnessed experiences. Keeping that into consideration, and if we go back to the decision makers, right, there's a very small percentage. I mean, even if we're working on a large scale study right now on a
Hmm.
VC ecosystem and the decision makers and gender ratio there, and further collaborating it with the portfolio companies and their decision makers to see the connection, because we all talk about it, but the data does not exist. At least in Indian ecosystem, the data does
Yeah.
not exist. So somewhere we have to connect those dots. Now, because you are part of the system, my question here is, how do we look at fixing it while both sides go about it? With this limited ratio, even in the top 20 VC firms, if we see, not even 5% women are there in the decision making. And these are the big ones. They are boosting the big ones, right? And the next upcoming startups are coming out of those portfolios only. How should we, how do you see it as part of the system?
Okay. So if I would say that we need to educate, give the right kind of, it begins with education. If the girl child is given the right kind of education and given that backing by the father and the mother in the house to get her to that education level, she will outshine. It begins, the first step is she doesn't have that kind of education. She's not been exposed to that kind of education.
Hmm,
Second thing is, marriage should not make her handicapped. Marriage should empower her to reach to a certain level.
hmm,
So, that needs to change a bit. Having kids should empower her, not make her weak. So, when these three things are changed, and when there is a diversification in the portfolio, in terms of ethnicity, in terms of gender, in terms of many other things, automatically that company or that fund will outshine, because they would have shown so much diversification, and it will show a lot of progress.
hmm,
But
hmm,
if we keep it the same way as it is, and uh, we have to start it from our home. We have to start it from the way we are treated when we walk on streets. We have to start it from our education system. So
hmm.
it begins from there. It is
It is
that is
definitely connected, right? I mean, we keep asking why there are less women in VC ecosystem, but if you actually look at the whole chain process,
yeah.
we will.
If there is a boy and a girl in the house, and they are so they would typically, what I have heard is that they would say, okay, let him go to this kind of education and you get married. So, and that's chapter closed. So it's usually like that. So if the equal amount of education is given, and empowered, both the kids need to be empowered, whether it's a boy or a girl. When both are empowered and both reach a certain stage, and that means we have treated both as humans.
Yeah.
But the moment we are treating one entitled, uh, and the other one not, so this is what the change is. Even in many families still date, the uh, boys cannot pick up dishes, and the girls have to pick up the dishes. That kind of thing has to change from home, so they start feeling entitled
Hmm.
about it. So these are the things. You must have heard about this startup P Safe, P Buddy, P. Why did this startup come up? Because you know, sorry, I have to specify this, that when we use public toilets also, there also we get more infected than the males.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, why? Because of the so that's why P Safe was created, that's why P Buddy was created, that's why these kind of things were created to help us, to empower us. So everything has to change, uh, and there are a lot of tiny things. When we connect the dots, then automatically a larger system would change, you
No,
know. So
very true. Very true.
uh,
It's all
I
connected.
mean, yeah, I'm not saying that we need to be more entitled or they need to, it has to be equal. Once the moment we are only giving the entitlements since the time the child is born, we are even killing it in the child in the womb, because
Hmm.
it's a girl child. From there only the entitlement has begun. That whole thing, once it change, automatically things will change. And also there is lot of ego issues. What happens is there are women that have stronger egos, and there are males that have stronger egos. So then when there are a lot of egos that are clashing, whether it's women to women or whether it's male to male or it's male to women, that
Hmm.
is also that male ego is also always feeling you know somewhere low about themselves, because they have not been able to perform or they have not been able to do certain things. Sometimes the women feel that way. So all this education about the how to manage our ego, how to manage our anger, how to manage our mind, and how to be open about it, as a it all begins from our subconscious mind, and how we are conditioned and how we are um, brought up as well.
No, very true. Vandana, do you believe that somewhere, and once again, I'm asking you based on your experience and what you have,
Yeah.
um, the subconscious bias that we have, right? Because when we have these direct conversations, of course, all of us give ideal answer. I mean, today, if you ask me, Pallavi,
Hmm.
you feel differently about, both the genders.
Hmm.
Uh, yes, you're a feminist, and do you hate men? Or
I-
you have something against men? Nothing against men, but there's a lot against
yeah.
patriarchy,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
There are individuals, and then there are concepts.
Right.
Similarly, the same narrative somewhere exists. Nobody has anything against women as a gender, but the concepts which are associated. And
Hmm.
a while ago, you did start mentioning those concepts. Let me just remind you of that first one where you said that women don't take their startup seriously.
Right.
What are other concepts which are not about the gender? Nobody has anything against women. They are happy to give that money. But
Yeah.
the concepts associated with women as a gender, which are working against them. So one is this. What other concepts would you share?
They can for every decision that they have to make, they have to ask somebody
So
whether
they're
it
not the
is.
decision makers.
Yeah, so they are at that level where they can make decisions, but
Mhm.
they have to, they'll have to ask some male colleague, or they'll have to ask their husbands,
Mhm.
uh, who has no idea about the startup,
Yeah.
so the moment you give the decision making to somebody else
Hmm.
also, then you're giving your power to somebody else.
Hmm.
When you're giving your power to somebody else, is that is the time then then why are you complaining? That is also what I needed to address. Then we should not complain because we have already given our power to somebody else.
That's true.
And if we want to to feel we have to be able, so whether we fail or whether we succeed, we should not fear that. We have to make that decision, we have to make it and stick by it. That should be the thing. So it's the same way, if a male makes a decision and he fails or he succeeds,
Right.
he has made the decision and we hold him responsible. Similarly, when we make decisions, uh, we we are responsible for them. We don't need to give that power to somebody else, and we have to take responsibility of that. Many times we, after doing that, we don't take responsibility and we start blaming others or the situations or others around us. So that's the victim. We have to come out of that victim mode. Or-
No, we'll get into that later. So that's the second point. Um, First one, not taking their business seriously. I
yeah.
think somewhere that the business will never be, or the startup will never be the priority for them.
Hmm,
Second
hmm.
is um, not being the decision maker in their own business.
In terms of finances, if they need, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, because they're dependent. Yeah.
Right. What else? I'm counting.
Also, they have to educate themselves about the investors, about their own startup. Maybe they have started because it's a passion, but they don't know the things behind it. So they need to educate themselves in terms of what is the legal agreement that goes behind it. And I'm
Vandana,
not
sorry
saying,
to interrupt. So sorry to interrupt.
yeah, yeah,
When we look at this particular concepts which are associated with women and
yeah,
goes against them, right? Not in their
yeah,
favor.
yeah,
Um, how are the investors looking at it? Because to be very honest, going back to nobody has anything against the gender, but everything
hmm,
against the concepts associated with the gender, right?
hmm,
So the third point that you're mentioning is women not having the sufficient knowledge,
yeah, yeah.
know-hows of the ecosystem. But somewhere I know, and nobody was born entrepreneur.
No,
Nobody,
no.
right? So where exactly is the disconnect here?
uh, the no, there is firstly, nobody learns from the mother's stomach, and to learn anything also is not a rocket science. But what happens is that when we give our decision making powers to others, or when we put our trust in something, usually women then just go completely and don't check back
Hmm.
on certain things. So what happens is, definitely uh, investors at times might take the women entrepreneurs lightly, because they might not, they think that, oh, she cannot do anything, or she might not have the knowledge, or uh, you know how much she will fight, or certain things like that would go on in anybody's mind. In
Right.
order to not to be not to face that, we need to um, have our own whatever is missing in in our startup, that what are the things they need to have a checklist, that where are, what is missing in their skills, they need to have those skills. I'm not saying they can perfectionize those skills, but at least when they are aware of it, that they know that at a certain level they have protected themselves, they are at a stronger foot in terms of signing up, in terms of receiving the funds, in terms of approaching the investors, in what manner to speak.
Mhm.
Many women, when a male raises their voice, become timid,
Right.
or when they are asked questions, regarding their startups, they would go timid, because they might be just handling the operations part of their startup. The finance part somebody else would be handling. So
Right.
because of that, they might not be good at numbers. These are the lots of factors that go behind so many things. So somewhere everybody needs to brush up their skills as well, and also not have too much dependency,
Mhm.
keep a certain level of trust and a certain level of confidence in themselves also.
No, makes a lot of sense. These three things, and as I always keep telling everyone, even in our network and everyone that we interact with,
Hmm.
it's more about the notions associated with the
Yeah.
gender themselves or the individual, right? And
Yes, yes.
we need to start looking at it because all of us are a product of our experiences, what
Experiences.
we hear from people, what we read, what
Yes.
we have experienced in a room full of leaders or
Hmm.
individuals. If
Hmm.
I even ask them a simple question, whether you have experience or whether you believe that gender based discrimination is a reality, for a majority of them, they are surrounded by almost 70-30 ratio in the room of both genders, and they don't identify with it because it's not their reality. It's not
Yeah.
something that they have experienced. So when you tell them that there are women who are not able to study even till their primary level, there are
Right.
women who have to give up on their career after marriage, these are not in their perception of reality because in their circle, in their network, nobody has done that yet.
Right.
That does not mean that it does not exist. And
Yes.
that's a very important distinction to be made. Vandana, in the past couple of years, we are seeing a lot of rise in the women-led funds
Right.
or incubators and accelerators. It's like there's a separate category within the
Yeah.
entrepreneurs which has been created. Two questions on that. One, um, is it really a fruitful solution to have separate funds? One, and two, based on your answer, yes or no. Um, what do you think then is the solution?
See, that is not the one part that we are focusing here. That is just one part of the solution. But there are so many other things that needs to be focused on. So it is a solution, but there is a lot more bigger picture here. There are many other solutions that need to be created in terms of the so if there are a lot of can be a lot of men-led funds also and women-led funds, based on the skills, based on their capabilities, based on their ethnicity, based on what skill sets everybody has. But again, it goes back to the same thing. They are not given the right kind of education, the right kind of platform. Once that is corrected, I think everybody would be treated equally because they have those skills. So that is only one part of it. It is not a solution as a whole.
Hmm.
uh,
Do you think
I mean, you cannot
do you think that
sorry.
patchwork? It's like the road has gone bad, and now you need to like just fill those holes with the.
Yeah, so that is just a part of the entire thing that we are talking about. There's a lot more things, you know cannot work after marriage,
Hmm.
or like so many things cannot work after a baby, or and made to feel guilty for not paying attention to the child and things like that. So uh, not given that IIT kind of education, IIM kind of education,
Right,
not given many roles as CFOs,
right,
uh,
right.
not given many roles, not given many platforms, uh, so all those things definitely are a part. That is just one part. That
Hmm.
is not a solution. That is it doesn't really have to be. It has to be depending on the skills. Only when we start treating equally, they'll have equal opportunities. Otherwise, it's always going to be more and less there.
No, that's true. And I mean, personally, nobody bothers asking me, but I still tell. I am not much in favor of these dedicated funds because if we did not create dedicated
Yeah,
funds for men, then now creating dedicated space for
yeah,
women it means that you're already dividing the world, which is already divided.
yeah.
You're just reaffirming that.
So we are not intending to divide. The whole idea of this conversation is to empower each other as humans and treat each other equally, and have that balance of mind and move forward. Nobody is better or less. It's
No,
just
no,
to empower.
this is
Yeah,
definitely an interim solution.
yeah,
Like while the
yeah,
world is getting fixed on their basic
yeah.
concepts of what it means, equity, equality, having the same, same starting point, not
Yes,
having hurdles and difficulties of different quantity. There was a beautiful cartoon. I don't even know when I saw it, but there was a woman and then there was a man, and the road was clear, and for a woman there were so many obstacles that were ahead of her.
yes, yes,
So yes, only when we are able to clear off on all these fundamental concepts, until then
yeah,
women funds are the need of the moment. But that's why I
yeah.
call them patchwork. And when I say patchwork, with all due respect, this is the need of the moment because something still
Yeah,
needs to be done.
yeah. The thought processes need to change. The mindsets need to change towards treating everybody equally. Once that is sorted, then automatically, uh, you know, the things get sorted in the right manner.
Absolutely.
Uh, then it's just the physical form that they are shaped into it by the almighty, then but everything else remains the same. That is what I've been trying to say also to many, that it's about treating each and other equally in this ecosystem where we are. And but the thing is that it starts again from the roots.
Yes.
How will the trees flourish if the roots are already
Yep. Very true. Very true. Vandana, how are you looking at addressing it? I mean, we keep telling other women founders, we ourselves are women founding team, and how should we look at someone like you, and what is it that you have created that women founders, women in the ecosystem, thinking of starting up, have already started, but then struggling. Um, where
uh,
exactly you create that mentor mode for them to have a better, if not easier, experience in this whole system.
Uh, Firstly, I am thankful for this talk. I hope it gives a lot of openness and inspiration to many women,
Mhm.
so that they believe in their capabilities and they believe in how to move about in their journeys.
Mhm.
Um, if you ask me, in America, in the finance industry, only one fourth of the female population is in the less than one fourth also. So that is being a developed, a progressive country. So in India, you can imagine how that being in 2020 also, that we have not reached that level because we look at women differently. That is the only thing that we are facing, and I would like to get into maybe more such talks, and maybe uh, bring out all the women from the house, and help them stand on their feet first. There is a lot of education that needs to be imparted, uh, keeping all the other things aside, to women as to how they can empower themselves. So,
Hmm.
so if the women are able to empower themselves in the right manner and move in the right direction, so if wherever there is a fallback, I mean, it's not that what they are told is after marriage there will be no fallback, or after having 18 years in this corporate life there will be no fallback. So they have to be prepared for fallbacks, that they can be accidents, they can be divorces, they can be uh, women becoming widows, they can be women who are losing their jobs because of certain things. So so when they have a fallback, how do they rise back? They need to be trained and educated, and more such platform needs to be created. Of course, in my own way, I keep talking to a lot of women. I've met a lot of Uber drivers, talk a lot to many people, and in my own simple ways, I do try to help women entrepreneurs, that maybe you should do this, maybe you should do that. And these kind of conversations definitely help. And I'm very grateful that you have created this platform to help encourage a lot of women, and also make them realize their potentials.
No, forget about making anybody realize their potential. We just want to have open conversation about
Yeah.
work through a gender lens and figure out how many ideas we can, bring together.
Also, yes, many men also need to be educated, that how to empower women in the right manner. Maybe fathers, maybe brothers, maybe husbands, or colleagues,
Colleagues,
mm,
managers, leaders,
leaders, to how to look upon a simple thing, how to look upon a single woman, how to look upon a divorced woman, and not to have those sudden ideas about oh, why she's progressing now, you know.
no, that's
uh,
very true. That's very true. One last question.
yeah,
Before I even, and I know I've already extended the time, and
no problem.
just one last question. At Convanto, are you dedicatedly focusing on sourcing women founders and women-led startups? Um,
No, no, no. We are sector agnostic investment bank,
Mhm.
and we are connected with 175 funds that includes PEs, VCs, and angels and HNIs. We are connected globally. We welcome with a warm heart everybody who comes in, and if whether it's a male or a female, we really don't look at that, and we are not we don't favor women or males more. We treat everybody equally, and for us it is an equal platform. But if anybody, any woman wants to reach out for certain kind of help, uh, please feel free. I mean, there's but it is it's it is not just only for women, it's
No,
for
that's
everybody.
wonderful. That's
Yeah,
wonderful to hear because to have a space wherein you are leading it, already knowing how not to look at the concepts and
yeah,
perceptions related to the specific gender,
yeah,
it's very crucial also to be part of such a neutral space and not just to be part of a dedicated space makes a hell lot of a difference, to
I've
experience
also
a neutral
lost a lot of
environment.
potential business being a woman, and I've also faced a lot. It has not been an easy journey, but at the end of the day, you
What to
know,
do?
we just have to move ourselves in the ecosystem and try to create a space in the right manner. There will be fallbacks, there will be rises, but each time we have to rise back and keep rising until we reach a certain level where we have created an inspiration of many. So we have to create that hustler spirit.
What a wonderful way to leave this conversation with. Keep rising, keep picking yourself up, keep trying, keep
Yeah,
walking. Just get into that hustler mode. Uh,
yeah,
Become unstoppable, and you know that you're the only one who's going to pick yourself up. And don't look at
yeah. So,
anybody to do that job. Thank you so much, Vandana. This I think by far has been the most calming conversation or calm conversation that I have had. I'm usually very hyper and hyper, but I think it's just how you are and who you are that I'm very calm today.
thank you so much. It's all I'm gratitude to you and Ritu, who has encouraged me to come here. I'm happy that I could give some encouragement to many around us.
I'm glad your people are free to leave their questions with us. They are, of
Yeah,
course, free to reach out to you also. You responded
definitely.
to us, so I'm very sure you will respond to others also. um,
Mhm.
Thanks once again, and we do look forward to having more conversations with you in future, Vandana.
Def- Definitely. Thank you so much for your precious time. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of the Monday. Stay productive, and we'll see you soon in our next conversation.
Thank you.